In a sea of multiple offers and interested buyers, how do you know which buyer is the right one to choose? And I'll give you a hint, it's not always about the money. Hey everyone, it's Shelly Killinger here from the Shelly Killinger Group at RE/MAX CSI. Welcome to Feels Like Home, our weekly real estate chat, and today we are talking about choosing the right buyer for your home. Now, if you've sold a home in the past, you might say, but Shelly, we don't typically get to choose the buyer. The buyer typically chooses us, right? And I totally get what you're saying, but isn't it wise to think in advance, what kind of buyer is most advantageous for me as a seller? And how do I know if they're well qualified enough for me to sign off on their offer? It's totally worth it to think about that in advance. So let's be honest, recently in the Pittsburgh market, we've been seeing a lot of multiple offer situations. We've been seeing homes flying off the market. And even though the market is shifting a little bit, we still do see pockets of the Pittsburgh market that are going quickly and in multiple offers. So there is a chance, if you're selling your home soon, that you may still see multiple offers where you would need to choose between buyers and choose the best qualified. But even if you don't have a multiple offer situation, wouldn't it be wise to think about what buyer would be most advantageous for you, just so that you can make sure the buyer you're signing off on is actually going to get to the closing table? It's worth a thought. So let's take a look at some of the qualifying factors that we look at for buyers and what might make one buyer more attractive than another. So obviously the first thing that comes to mind is price. What price is the buyer offering? What are they coming in with? And in a multiple offer situation, obviously that's going to be one of the biggest factors that a seller considers. What price is higher than the other? Which buyer is offering a higher price? But I urge you, if you're selling, to look at other features of the offer as well, because there's a lot to consider. You could also take a look at their financing. Are they a cash deal? If so, that's very attractive as a seller. There are a lot fewer contingencies that come with a cash deal than come with a financed deal. For example, there typically is no appraisal contingency on a cash transaction. On top of that, they can typically close sooner because there's less hassle, there's less hoops to jump through in a cash deal. On top of that, there's no mortgage contingency, so there's no risk of the mortgage falling through at the very last minute, at the 11th hour before closing. So cash deals are very attractive to sellers, so it's something to think about. Even if you're looking at two financed deals side by side, there are different quality of financed deals. So for example, you could have a buyer who's putting 20% down versus a buyer who's putting 3.5% down. Obviously, the buyer who's putting 20% down is a little bit more solid than the 3.5 buyer, so you want to take those into consideration as well. What about the mortgage lender? Do they have a good reputation? Does your real estate agent know them? Do they have issues right before closing? Is that a frequent issue with them? Then in that case, it's something to consider that might be important to you. So financing is definitely an important point of distinction between buyers. The third thing to think about is seller assist. Is your buyer asking for a high amount of seller assist or any seller assist at all? So if you're not familiar, seller assist allows the buyers to keep more cash in their pockets. So they ask the seller to pay for a portion of their closing cost. So they could ask for up to 6% of purchase price towards their closing costs. So that's 6% of purchase price from your profit going to the buyers to keep cash in their pocket. So again, something to consider. If there are two buyers and one is asking for seller assist and one is not, that is a big deal. Another factor that you can think about are contingencies. Does this buyer have a home sale contingency? Do they have to sell their home in order to buy yours? If so, how long is that going to take? What does the house look like? Are they ready to put it on the market? There's a lot of questions that come up there. And if you're comparing two offers, one that has a home sale contingency and one that does not, obviously the one without the home sale contingency might be a bit more attractive. Other contingencies to consider are your home inspections. If there's a buyer who wants to waive the home inspections or wants far fewer home inspections, that might be attractive to you as a seller. So that is something to consider. The last item to consider are just smaller details. There are a lot of things that are written into offers whenever a buyer submits one. Things like home warranty. Do they want a home warranty? I know that's small, but it's $600. If you don't have to pay it as a seller, why pay it? If you've got two offers and one is asking for a home warranty and one is not, why pay it if you don't have to? Closing date is a big one for some sellers. That's something that can be negotiated. So if you have a buyer that can close quickly and another buyer who can only close in 60 days or 90 days, obviously the buyer that can close faster might be more attractive to you, depending on your situation. So there are a lot of factors to consider here, guys, and not all of them are price related. You've got to think in advance, what is my situation and what buyer is most advantageous for me? So as you can see, there are quite a few things to consider whenever you're choosing the right buyer for your home. Of course, if you have questions, post them down in the comments section down below. I love seeing your questions and I will certainly get you answers. Please feel free to subscribe to our channel too. We don't want you to miss out on our monthly market updates or our weekly videos. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you next time.